Hello all. Sorry, you've got a hair on your face. I'm here to talk to you today about my June reads, my June wrap-up. I'm only holding 2 books, but I did read 3 books. The one I just read is an ebook. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Ah, goodness. The first book I read this month was Women by Caldwell. I've spoken about this book in a previous video already. I think when I finished reading it, I gave you some closing thoughts. But this book is basically about a woman who moves to a city. I think she moves to Chicago. She moves away from home to Chicago. She starts a new job at a library, falls in love with one of her co-workers there, who happens to be a woman, and it's the first time in her life that she's ever fallen in love with a woman. But the problem is that this woman is in a long-term relationship, but still, somehow, they begin a relationship. So this other woman is having, this other woman is having an affair, basically. And this book chronicles sort of the beginning, middle, and end of their relationship. Feelings that the main character goes through while they are in this relationship. Her feelings about the other woman, her feelings about being in a relationship with a woman, her feelings about the other woman having, I cannot speak today, the other woman having an affair on her long-term partner, and sort of the fallout from what happens once they're no longer together. They try to be friends, they try to not see each other at all. It's a whole complicated story. I frankly, when I read this book, it was not what I expected it to be. It was a very strange book, very weird, very vignette-y, which is fine. I don't know what I was going to say there. It's fine to have a vignette book. To me, it just felt a little bit incomplete. It is quite a short book, so I don't often say this, but I would have liked if this book was a little bit longer, so that you could get more information or just more story a little bit. But if this sounds like an interesting topic to you, please go pick the book up, because it wasn't really my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean that it won't be somebody else's cup of tea. Even though I didn't really enjoy this book, I don't want to get rid of it, which is a strange feeling. Usually if I don't enjoy a book, I want to get rid of it. This one, I kind of want to keep, even though, I don't know, I might go back to it in a few years and then feel completely different about it. So anyway, then the next book I read was Red, White and Royal Blue, which I read on ebook because I don't have a copy of it in my hand. I read it as an ebook and I genuinely enjoyed it. Do you have another hair on your face? No. Sorry. I very much enjoyed this book. There were a few things that bothered me, but that was just me, I think, being too nitpicky about it, because in reality, if you take it at what it is meant to be, if you take this book as what it is setting out to be, a light-hearted, fluffy queer romance, then it ticked all the boxes. It did what it set out to do. There were just a few, minor details and believability things that irked me, but all in all, I really enjoyed the book. I was rooting for the characters. I was rooting for many of the characters in the book, not just the main couple. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really well written. The characters were well written. The dynamics between the characters were well written as well. So all in all, I thought it was a good book. I didn't even tell you what it was about, but I feel like everybody and their mom has spoken about Red, White and Royal Blue, so I feel like most people know what it's about. Then, the last book I read this month, I actually finished it last night. Man, I'm so angry at myself for not reading this book sooner, because I have put this book on a monthly TBR so many times before, and I've never gotten to it. But now, I have finally read Sweetbitter by Danler, and boy, am I glad that I finally read this book. It was so good. It makes me kind of... There's this quote that Vita Sackville-West said or wrote about Virginia Woolf, and she said, I'm paraphrasing very much, but when I read Virginia Woolf's work, I don't know whether to feel dejected or encouraged. Dejected because I will never be able to write that well, or encouraged because somebody else can. This book makes me feel like this. I feel like I simultaneously never ever want to publish anything because it cannot be as good as this, but also I'm so glad that somebody has been able to write something like this and have it published so that I can read it. This book follows Tess, our main character, who has also recently moved to the big city. She has moved to the Big Apple. She's starting a job at a restaurant, one of the most famous restaurants or one of the fanciest restaurants, I don't really know. It's just a well-known restaurant in New York. It chronicles her sort of moving to the city, getting the job, starting as a back waiter, and, you know, becoming friends with her co-workers who in the beginning wouldn't even look at her, then becoming an integral part of the team, falling into a sort of love triangle, not really a love triangle, but like starting a relationship with a guy who has a very strange relationship with another woman who works at the restaurant, at the same restaurant, and she also becomes really close with that woman. And just all the wild things that they do. My description is not doing this justice. It is such a great book. It is also told similarly to Woman in a very vignette style, so you jump back and forth between days. You follow this character over a whole year. It's split into the 4 seasons. So you start in summer, and then autumn, winter, spring. You get to see how much the character has changed over the year, and also how much she has stayed the same. I really don't know how to better describe this book to you other than to say please go read it, because it is so, so good. I would recommend this to everybody. I frankly would say this should be on a high school curriculum, but it shouldn't be, because there's a lot of some of the things in here I don't think teenagers should be reading about. Like, there's a lot of drug use, there's a lot of alcohol abuse, there's verbal abuse, there's kind of not physical abuse, but like the guy that the woman falls in love with is rough with her sometimes. Just be warned when you go into this book, there are some heavy topics, but all in all, it is still a very enjoyable book. And again, the characters are really well written. The dynamics between the characters are really well written. There is a massive cast of characters in this book. The central point of this book is the restaurant, and all of the characters are sort of revolving around the restaurant. Whether they work there, whether they dine there, whether they used to work there, it doesn't matter. But I wanted just to tell you how much I love this book, and I feel like everybody should go and read it. Please, if you have a copy, please read it now if you haven't already. If you don't have a copy, if you don't have a copy, please go out and buy it and support the author, because her writing is spectacular. I don't know if she's written anything since. I'm sure she has, but this was her debut novel. So, you know, it's fine. If people could write debut novels like this, I just am going to crawl into a hole and never publish anything. It's fine. So this was published in 2016. Oh no, 2017. Originally published in 2016. This is a 2017 edition. So, oh my goodness. And it's the same cover designer again. Sorry. I keep finding books who are designed by the same cover designer. So these books, not that you really care, but I find it very interesting when I find the same cover designer across books. These 3 books covers, can I even show you all 3 of them at once? Are all designed by the same cover designer. So, I mean, unless there's somebody else with the same name, which is also possible, but I think it's the same person. This is my June wrap-up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If any of these books intrigue you, please go pick them up, because I did somewhat enjoy all of them, minus this one. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel if you want to see more bookish content from me in the future. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you again next week with another video. Bye!